Leo, Mariah here. It's a pleasure to be reading for you. I hope you're doing really good. I hope you're really well. So I want to take a look since we're mid-April, going into the end of April, then May. I want to see what's your blind spot, right? What's that Achilles heel that we may not be seeing or really self-aware of at this time that's going to be beneficial to know. So let's go ahead, let's see and get started. Okay, Leo, so let's go ahead and get started on your reading. Let's see what that blind spot, Achilles heel or Achilles heel, one or the other. Let's see.
Look, it looks like that device hasn't been set up yet. You can do that in Assistant Settings.
Thank you, Google. Anyway, let's get back into your reading. So let's see. For my Leos. Speaking of listening, we have listening coming out. We also have gentleness. Hope. Bottom of the deck is playfulness. I think it's so interesting because my Google Home usually does not go off. I mean, if you sat here and watched videos of mine before, you would notice that it's not a common theme or occurrence. But I think it's really interesting how it went off, and the first card that comes out is listening. So I've told you this before, specifically to whom this concerns, to who this video is fitting for, that you are being heard. You're being overheard. You're being listened to, and you're being listened to even when you may feel like you're not being listened to. But there's this need, oh God, how can I put this? It's like you're needing to be inspired. And I think that's what we're trying to figure out here. And I think that's what we may be, whether it's having a talk within ourselves, maybe we're talking to ourselves out loud, maybe this is a part of our prayers or a part of our manifestations, but it's like you're needing that. Why does this take me back to the video I last put out? Where I was talking about a comfort zone, even though I'm not really getting comfort zone energy here, but it feels like this is a branch. If somebody related to that last video, this is kind of like an additional branch to that, because if there is an issue here with you in a comfort zone for whatever reason, right? It feels like there's this lack of inspiration. That's the root of this, or that's the source where you're needing to be inspired, Leo, and you don't feel like, whether it's in your daily life, the people that surround you, the environments, the settings that you're in, nothing's really giving you that inspiration, or nothing's really inspiring you, or you're not really seeing things that are aspirational, that's jolting you in a certain direction, or that's making you want to pivot in a certain direction. It's like we may even feel, even if we can't articulate where we desire to be as far as a destination, or even if we can articulate it, we still haven't moved into that reality yet. But to get from point A to point B, it's like some people are able to be, and I'll give you a difference here. Some people are able to be very structured, disciplined, and organized when it comes to their motivations, right? It's like you could have a person that is very militant of, okay, at 8 a.m. I'm going to do this, at 10 a.m. I'm going to do this, 12 p.m., 3 p.m., etc. And through those daily efforts, those daily small consistent efforts, it allows us to compound into bigger efforts that gets us to where we need to go. I feel like I'm speaking to a Leo that yes, we can have the structure, or we can have the discipline, but it's hard to stay with that, and it's hard to stay consistent to it if we don't have something. I'm hearing 1983, so I don't know if that's something era, time frame, or even just a year for somebody specifically. I just heard 1983. But for you, Leo, you're needing that inspiration. It's like, even if you were to try to be as routine and regimen with your day-to-day efforts and actions to get yourself to where you want to be, you still have this ability to fall off the wagon, or to feel discouraged or demotivated, because that's not your natural source of how you get to the goals that you want to. It's like you got to have that feeling. Something has to evoke you. That why has to be very strong for you to really stay consistent with something, to really stay on that pathway. So I feel like I'm speaking to a Leo who's taking a route to, maybe you have a specific outcome you want to reach, right? Maybe you want to relocate. Maybe you want to go into a new industry, a new sector. Maybe you're wanting something different in your love life. Maybe you're wanting to build better relationships. I mean, it can be so many different things, but to get there, the practical steps of getting there is not sticking. And I think we're getting frustrated because either it's not sticking, it's not enough, there's not a big enough why behind it, or there's not enough motivation behind it that gives us that encouragement to stay the route. So we tend to fall off and go back to our natural habits and our natural routines and our natural patterns. You got to be, something has to stimulate you. You need to be stimulated in some way. And I think that's the stimulation. We're maybe having trouble figuring out what is that big enough why for us, or that big enough stimulant that's going to keep us consistent on a pathway or on our track to get ourselves to where we need to be. Let me get into the cards. Because see, here we go again with this stuff. Anyway, let's get into the cards. Sorry, you know Mariah. At least you should know me at this point. Lord. Tell me more from my Leo as far as their blind. So I think that's what this is as far as your blind spot. 6 of Cups in the reverse. I think as far as your blind spot, that's what this comes back down to. It's not where you're going. I think, Leo, you either know where you can see yourself, whether it's in the span of the next 6 months, the next year, the next 5 years, however long your goal is, or whatever the destination you're trying to reach for yourself to really feel fulfilled, or really feel in tune, or really feel connected. Whether you can articulate that, or even if you can't articulate it, you can almost feel what it would feel like to be in that existence of where you would want to be, even if you can't articulate what that may look like. However, getting from where you are to there, that's the trouble of staying consistent with that path, because that inspirational spark either keeps going out because the why behind it isn't strong enough, or we don't have that inspiration to really keep us motivated and to take the route that other people may suggest for us, or they may say, well, this is what you need to do, or this is how you go about it to get to where you need to go. That may work for some people, but for the Leo I'm speaking to, that doesn't work for you. You got to have, something has to be a strong enough fire. It has to be a blaze to really keep you set on something. And I don't know what that blaze is for you. And I don't think you know what that blaze is. So that's what I want to see. What is that thing that needs to be felt by you? Yeah, the Page of Swords in the reverse on the bottom of the deck. It's like we can assume. That's so weird, because it's like we can assume what may be that inspirational spark or that big enough why, but even when we try to take that as the motivator or use that as a reason to be consistent or to be devoted or dedicated, right? When we walk in that path, it still doesn't do it for us. So I would even say to you, make sure whatever is your sense of inspiration, you're doing it for you and not for other people, not for the benefit of other people, right? But it's, how does this actually benefit you? I gotta say something really important, because this comes down to maybe a dream, a goal, a desire, a hope, like in the context of what we're talking about. This is, not everyone is going to agree with this sentiment, but this is personally how I feel. Broken dreams don't start in the real world. Broken dreams start in the household, and the lack thereof fostering those dreams and those aspirations and inspirations. And I'm very curious, Leo, not to pry into your personal life, but I'm very curious, if you were to go back to the household where you grew up, how much of a reality, how much was your reality, that's how I should put it, how much was your reality in alignment with what it is that you want to achieve today? So let's say, for an example, maybe you grew up in a household where you may have not seen the best relationships. You know, you maybe didn't have really good examples of healthy relationships, but your dream is to have a healthy relationship or be married or have a loving family. Well, your childhood fostered the reality of that may not be likely, but you feel internally that that can be your reality, but you didn't have those examples. Or maybe even in a different degree, Maybe you come from a family that was from a certain financial or economic status, and that's all you've seen was people around that same social and economic class. But you've always desired to have more and want more for yourself, but you didn't have those examples. So before we even got to the real world, our dreams was already minimized. I only say that to bring it back to what I'm talking about to you today, is because we may have not had from our original source, whether it's our parents, whether it's grandparents that may have raised us, whoever was your parental figure when you were younger, we may have not had I'll put it this way, we may have not been given the tools or shown the tools of how to really achieve later on in life what it is that we desire. So we may have associated our motivations to stay consistent, devoted, or dedicated to certain short-term outcomes or results that really will not help us long-term stay the course of achieving something. So now psychologically, we kind of have this short-term thing with our motivations where we can easily fall off the path or easily get discouraged or easily fall into our comfort zone if it's not a strong enough motivator for us. But that's because back in the household, we really weren't given the tools of how to stay really consistent, devoted, or devout to something, to see it through, even when the inspiration, the motivation, or the desire to have it starts to die and dwindle out. So I think this is where I'm seeing difficulty here for you, Leo, is because in the month of April, mid-April, going into May, there is something that you're really wanting, you're really striving for. But we have to figure out what that larger motivator is. Can you tell me? Let me try one more card here. Because even with the cards I've pulled in tarot, it's just reconfirming what I'm saying. Adventure. Oh, okay. You may have to get out in life. It's like an artist. You know how you'll have musicians, like they make some of their best music when they go through real life experiences or heartbreak and etc. And that's their inspiration because they went through a real life situation that really impacted them on a deeper level, that now they're able to explain those stories through music. That's kind of the same thing here with adventure. So Leo, I would even challenge you, especially with us getting into the springtime and then summer, I would actually challenge you to at least at some point within the month or over the course of the next month to do something that may be out of your element, out of your comfort zone, that may be an adventure, whether it's scheduling some form of excursion or doing something that you haven't done in a long time. But you got to get up out of this routine or regimen, or, not really having that inspiration that you need to really go to the next step of whatever this is. So challenge yourself in some way. What does that look like for you? What would be stepping out of that comfort zone in a way that brings some sense of adventure, but also it's going to spark some motivation in you to help you continue on your path? This feels like this is the blind spot here. So Leo, I'm going to leave this here. Hopefully this has connected and resonated with you in some way. I keep hearing the year 1983. I don't know what that's for, but I'm going to let you go. I love you. I wish you the best. And I mean, honestly, let me know what you do for the, over the span of the next month, something that is out of your element, because that's what this is asking, to really get you over to the next level. That inspiration comes from doing something maybe adventurous or out of your comfort zone. So I love you. Bye, Lee.